Hello everybody, the Nameless Narcissist here once again. A simple man diagnosed with MPD, trying to tell you about the things that go on in my head. Keep in mind, I am no clinician, so I can only speak to my own experiences, but if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Anyways, so I'm purposely recording this video a little bit earlier than I usually, well, a lot earlier than I usually do, because when I first wake up, my NPD brain is still going. I haven't basically gotten to a more healthy mindset yet, mainly because I'm tired and I'm just kind of on autopilot. And for this video, I think that's important because because I am also not using a script, because I kind of want to show how, with some of these people who used to be in my inner circle, how my defenses are a lot more up, so to speak. Because when you're in that inner circle, there isn't really a going back from that. It's either you're going to remain in that inner circle or I'm going to have a complete blowout with you. Because once you're in that inner circle, your function in a relationship with me turns from purely self-esteem regulation to also emotional regulation. A lot of people with MPD, I've noticed, this function is basically limited to their romantic partners. I've always operated a little bit differently though, because of my tendency to avoid romantic relationships. Because either because I didn't trust myself to be in one, or because I just wasn't interested. Usually my partners were more for self-esteem regulation than emotional regulation, actually. Now, again, going through this, you're going to see a lot of my black and white thinking, a lot of my grandiose defenses happening, a lot of demonization of them. So keep that in mind as I go forward, that I'm usually more cognizant of these things, and I try to be at least, but I'm kind of just going at this point. Also, we're going to be talking about 4 people that have been in my life. The last 2 are rather fresh, so you're going to see a lot more of what I'm talking about with them. The first one is somebody who I became friends with before my grandiose defenses really solidified, because we were best friends for years, but that started in my freshman, sophomore year of high school. The second one is when my grandiose defenses were super intact, and then the last one is when I was trying very hard to let go of the grandiose defenses. So the first one, this guy was my best friend for years, throughout basically all of high school. And again, this was before I once heard this term for people with MPD called chosen person. And that was very much the function of this guy. I viewed him as a little brother, basically, and my right-hand man. Sometimes he'd be my fucking enforcer in certain ways. And I was very loyal to him, and I did everything to take care of this kid. I drove him everywhere. I'd pay for his food sometimes. I'd always very much defend him. He was by far the most loyal I've ever been to somebody in my life. We would have blowouts and stuff every now and then because, I'm dysregulated as fuck, or I thought he wasn't appreciating me, which he wasn't, but whatever. And that relationship ended when I got back from basic training, and he got really mad at me. I was like, oh, I'm sick of watching you hurt people. And I'm like, piss off, you were doing the same shit that I am. You fucking get on your high horse, piece of shit. So it got into this, so we had a big fight and we just stopped being friends after that. And I was so irate. I was like, how dare he, after everything I fucking did, even to this day, actually. All of his close friends are only because I fucking introduced them to him and I made them friends. So you're welcome, shitbag. But the thing is, this guy is actually kind of a piece of shit. I'm not going to go into some of the things I know about him and what he did. But one of the things that was super bizarre to me and really kind of creepy is he was dating this girl, and after 2 years, me and her started being friends again after me and him were estranged. And so I haven't talked to him for 4 years. She hasn't talked to him for 2 years. And me and her kind of get romantically involved, completely unrelated to him. Although there was a little thing in the back of my mind that was the piece of shit, I win. But that wasn't the main point. And he had this really weird thing where he was so upset about it. I didn't understand it. I remember he was apparently talking to one of my mutual friends, being like, I can't believe she let this happen. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, she can make her own fucking decisions. You don't own her. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm like, and when the fucking narcissist is being like, hey, that's some maladaptive shit going on, you know something is wrong. Yeah, but fuck that guy. I would never, like, okay, for a lot of these people, there's like a little bit in the back of my mind between like my conscious and unconscious thinking where it's like, I kind of miss them and kind of wish that they would reach back out and be friends with me again. Him, not at all. I'd break his nose. But whatever. And then like for the other people, even if they did try to come back, I'm so prideful that I doubt that I would. I'd probably, they would have to like grovel, but whatever. The second one is this girl who had some strong narcissistic traits, and this is when my grandiose defenses were way up, and she was like, she considered me her best friend, and I was like, sure, why not? She was very much like trying to be domineering of this group, and I was always talking in her ear, like trying to get her to do things. Usually trying to get her to do healthier things, if I'm being honest. I'm trying to reel her in because I didn't want to fucking estrange people from what I viewed as my like sphere of influence. And towards the end of this is when I really started to look at my MPD and stuff, and she just caught a glimpse of my internal landscape, and I was gone. Me and her had a big blowout because I kind of had a moment. And I tried to apologize and explain to her, and she was not taking it, fucking bitch. And she like didn't talk to me for like 2 weeks afterwards because she told me that she was like, oh, I don't know how I'm feeling, I'll like reach out like later today, whatever. And she never did again. So I was like, okay, fucking, you want to try to use my abandonment shit against me? I'll show you. And I sent a very long text that was very purposely designed to make her look awful as she showed it to people, and that worked. Nowadays, people do not trust her. And hey, that's what happens when you betray me. If you betray me, you're going to lose it all. Sorry. Don't treat me like shit. But that was a very superficial relationship on my end. Most of that just had to do with me like talking to her about her like boy troubles and stuff. And I don't really mind it because I thought it was funny. But she got very little of my actual like stuff. And now the last two I kind of group into one because like us three were like a trio. And this was the most recent one. This is when I was trying to open up more and be more vulnerable and see how that fucking worked. And we had a blowout because I got involved with this girl who also had MPD. Like we never officially dated, but like when it ended, I was like a wreck. I literally I could tell it was coming. And I fucking fled to DC because I was like, she can't abandon me if she can't find me. And she was ignoring me, so like I just sent her a snap out of like the blue that I'm like in Maryland, and she was like, what the fuck, how are you there? And I was like, I don't know, I decided to. It worked. She texted me a lot after that. But yeah, then those things ended. Fucking bitch didn't appreciate me either. And a big part of all this was like, one of the girls was the first person I told about my diagnosis to. The other one was the first person I met who was also a self-aware cluster B. And I was like, oh my god, there's other people like me. I don't have to fucking hide myself anymore. And then there was the girl with MPD who I was involved with who was also like, oh man, be your real self. I was like, I don't even have a real self. What's wrong with you? She suspected she had MPD, but I don't really believe it, if I'm being honest. But I might just be gatekeeping it. I don't know. When that ended, I was like, fuck, I was like, and at first I was like, oh, these two of my friends are going to be there and support me because I was vulnerable with them. Fucking nope. I fucking, literally, I was just, literally like, me and this girl broke it off, and they instantly became distant because they saw me be a little bit neurotic and a little bit sad. And they just completely distanced themselves from me. They didn't hang out with me for months and hung out with people and this is the first time in my life I actually tried to like talk through issues I was having with them. And guess what? They'd be like, oh my god, like we still care about you, you know, it's just winter, and for some reason that means that they can't, you know, pay any attention to me. And so I tried it twice. I tried to talk to them about it twice. And they only, in a 5-month span, they only hung out with me twice. And I also tried to talk to them about it twice. And it's like, fuck, what else am I, and they were like trying, and then like one of them I would text, and then like the woman would text me back, and I could tell that she was afraid that I would get mad. So she would have the borderline girl text me and kind of feel me out, and like they thought they were fucking slick. They were not slick. I saw through everything they were doing. Idiots. And I mean, and it's funny because from what I hear, a big part of it was one of the girls started watching Lee's TikToks and took them very much at face value instead of actually asking me like what was going on in my head. So thank you, Lee, for helping that relationship. I'm joking. I don't actually resent him or anything. Mainly because like I honestly kind of thank him, because if she was looking at what basically the most malignant sides of narcissism are, and like straight up abusers from Lee's perspective, and she's not willing to even talk to me about like if that stuff is true or not, then fuck it, she's not even worth having in my life. But it was like really hard for me just because these were some of the first people that I was like vulnerable with, and I felt like, oh, maybe I can be myself, whatever that means. And like all of them, like within like fucking like a week, he fucking betrayed me. And it sucked because like it was like, oh, we're a trio and stuff, like we were all the best of friends, whatever, and we were at that level, and they just did not give a fuck. And actually, something funny is like because of that experience is actually why I started this channel, because I was like, these people are assuming things about my disorder without even talking to me about it, and like why, and it's also why I'm always like very clear, like this is only my experience. I know that there's people out there worse than me. I know there's people better than me, because the last thing I want is for people to watch my videos and then be like, oh, this is why this person I know is acting the way that's, because I might be wrong, and you may assume overly bad things about them, or like what if like they were like straight up worse than me and then turn out to be like abusers, you know what I mean? So I'm always like try to make it very clear that this isn't universal. Every person with MPD is different. Every presentation of, there's as many presentations of MPD as there are people with MPD. But whatever. And yeah, I'm still bitter about that, I guess. Fucking bitch. God, it pisses me off so much. I like tried to be vulnerable, right? And like, you can kind of see, and like, it's confirmation bias, 100%, I know it is. And like, it's, but like, in my head, I'm like, I try to be vulnerable and I was betrayed. I can never be vulnerable again. And it feels like that. It feels like I never can again. Which is why I don't judge people with MPD who are like, kind of like, I don't want my defenses to go away, right? I encourage them to try to find somebody to be vulnerable with. But like, if there's a person with MPD who instead of like trying to do the vulnerable thing is keeping those defenses up and kind of distancing themselves from people so they don't hurt anybody and shit like that, I can't judge them, right? I think keeping up your defenses, as long as you're not hurting people, is a valid like solution to recovery. As long as you're also being mindful and stuff. Because the unfortunate thing is, if you're somebody with MPD, if you put down those defenses, you will get hurt. That's inevitable. Hopefully you can find somebody who won't hurt you, but like, no matter what, it's going to happen. If you never get hurt when you're vulnerable, fucking you're a lucky person. And anybody who's even normal, and they obviously people who are like quote unquote normal don't feel those things as intensely as we do because we're so hypersensitive to it and our emotions are fucking all over the place. But they can tell you like, yeah, you're going to get hurt. That's just life. And to a certain extent, that should be fine. But I know for us, it doesn't feel like it's fine. It feels like when we get hurt like that, we can never be vulnerable again. Because like, I don't know, it feels like the one truth we have about the world is that nobody can see us, or it's going to be bad and they're going to hurt us. And I mean, if there's people with MPD avoiding that, whatever, I'd like respect to them as long as they're not hurting anybody else. God, that made me, this is one of the more emotional I have been in my videos for a while. I know it's not as obvious just because I'm trying to be quiet, because like, I never know if my roommates are listening, and I hate that. Somebody buy me an office. Anyways, I hope that sheds some light into how my thinking starts to go in terms of people who I'm estranged from, who I used to be very close to. Again, like, if it was a little later, like, I know that most of that stuff isn't true. I'm, like, very much viewing them in black and white because I painted them black. But I know it's not like that, but it feels like that. And I kind of think it is true. I'm still not sure. Anyways, though, hope you all enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to, I guess, or do anyway. Just make me feel good about myself. Anyways, have a good day. I'm being vulnerable with you guys. Take your fucking meds.